I guess to be more specific, talk about Black Lives Matter. Growing up, pastors getting homeschooled, you get a unique perspective. Living only in Mississippi, you get a certain perspective. Not justifying or defending it at all, but how important that is to get different sides, not just be with people who agree with you all the time. Black lives, my black friends, my black loved ones are inadvertently being affected in a way that they should not be, only because of the color of their skin. I was able to take a class in college on African American studies, and it focused on like civil rights movements. And a lot of those stories I was hearing for the first time. I just am well aware of my ignorance, and I've also been able to fight against it in a way not a lot of people have. And all that together makes Tripp Massey.
Hello, my name is C.A.R.L Bledsoe Jr. How the heck are y'all? This is episode 4 of C.A.R.L, Conversations About Real Life, featuring my dear friend, Tripp Massey. I love you. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this video. This video is also sponsored by Afrk Market, hence the mug, you dig? Hence the jewelry, you dig? The jury, as freaking like Jay-Z would say. Anyway, you can use my code Carlos20 to get 20% off your order, and know that everything from Afrk Market is supporting Black business, Black people, Black artists, all that jazz. So it's cool. Also, if you use my code on Afrk Market, Carlos20, you're supporting me. And I'm Black, so it's just a bunch of like Black supporting. We love to see it. On to the video, y'all. Woo!
What's going on, everybody? My name is Tripp Massey. I'm a friend of C.A.R.L's, and I'm a good friend of C.A.R.L's, or at the very least, he's a really good friend of mine. And we were talking the other day and about some of the issues going on, and about what some historical things that have happened in the past that has kind of led to where we are now, and just kind of things in general, talking about like how historically kind of we got there, and then also things that have happened that have given people certain perspectives, particularly some of the negative perspectives, and kind of understanding that, not justifying or defending it at all. And that's definitely what me and C.A.R.L were not doing the other day. But we were just throwing back some ideas back and forth and sending each other things, and he wanted me to talk a little bit. So really quick, a little bit about me, for those of you who don't know. 28 years old. I've lived in Mississippi my whole life. Growing up, my dad was actually a pastor around Oxford, Mississippi, and then moved to a place called Batesville, which y'all know a lot more of. And then when I was in 3rd grade at Batesville, my dad actually stopped pastoring to start driving us an hour to a church in Memphis that he had visited and heard about. Anyway, but yeah, ever since 3rd grade, I started going to church in Memphis. And for a kid who was raised in Mississippi, I was homeschooled. I'm all over the place. Growing up, pastors getting homeschooled, you get a unique perspective. Living only in Mississippi, you get a certain perspective. Being all those things, and since 3rd grade, going to a church in Memphis that is not like what you were used to growing up with, to a non-denominational church in Memphis, for that matter. We went from Pentecostal Church of Christ to non-denominational Church of Memphis. It was a bit of a jump, even as a 3rd grader. But I loved it. I loved it since day one, and it's made all the difference growing up. Especially now in hindsight, thinking about how I see things going on today a certain way and other people don't. And it's like, oh, some of you haven't experienced this or haven't done this. And all of your friends are monotone. And you don't have no diversity. And it's not always your fault, because there are places where there's not any. But then it's on you to go and find it, you know? Because of how important that is to get different sides, not just be with people who agree with you all the time. Not be with people who are aggressive or fight you or anything, but you need different opinions, especially from people that you trust and love. Some of my best friends are the most opposite people of me, but we come together on the common points that are bigger than a lot of certain issues, like love and respect for each other, some of the basic stuff, and we're able to start from there and grow a 10-year friendship off of it. And those friendships that have made all the difference. Basically, grew up going to church in Memphis. Then 19 years old, got a job at a warehouse in Memphis for 5 years throughout college, and then got a job back in Mississippi, in a poor part of Mississippi, doing IT for one of the school districts. And so all of those have given me unique perspectives just in general, different than my parents and different things. Different, very odd for a homeschooler to then work for the public school system. And so it's really interesting when things like this happens and social media blows up. Always got my Facebook's always split down the middle with people who don't know each other, who are, this is this way and that's that way, and no it's not, yes it is, and it's really wild. And I guess to be more specific, let's talk about Black Lives Matter. Let's talk about Black Lives Matter let's talk about it apart from the organization for a second. It's really interesting to see a bunch of people you love identify with something like just literally the slogan Black Lives Matter. Again, just for argument's sake, let's not think about the organization. I know nothing about the organization. I've heard different things, whatever. I know nothing about it. Just apart from that. Or even assuming that it's bad. Let's assume the organization is evil and all this stuff, let's just assume that for a minute, because this is what I keep seeing. People like myself who understand the truth behind a phrase like Black Lives Matter and its importance and its symbolism and its value, that obviously it means all lives matter, but it's because you use that because that's what's, all of the lives that matter are not being accommodated right now. Black lives, my black friends, my black loved ones are inadvertently being affected in a way that they should not be, only because of the color of their skin. And someone used the example, it's like if you're all eating dinner but you don't get a plate, and you say, hey, I need a plate, and then someone says, no, we all need a plate. It's like, of course we all need a plate, that's why I deserve a plate, but I'm not getting a plate and you're gonna give me a plate. We just had Father's Day, and I only saw it once. I thought it was gonna blow up. It was so funny. But someone said, no, all parents matter. Do you get it now? And it was like, you see how stupid that sounds? But it's funny, as far as people who are opposed to that simple phrase, they will cling to whatever they can to discredit the phrase. And they'll cling to the organization. And I did research and it's bad, it's evil, it's New World Order stuff, Illuminati, whatever, like all this stuff. And it's like, okay, and even if it's bad, does that mean the statement's not true? Or are you saying that the statement is true, but all you're going to do is talk about how bad the organization is that created the statement, like that denounces the statement? And you're doing that even though you're supporting all these Confederate, no, not Confederate, but like, people and leaders who have done good things, but have also done not good things. And it's like you have this, the good doesn't destroy the bad unless it's convenient for you. Then all of a sudden, no, all lives matter. And it's just funny seeing, because sometimes it's easy to see that it's, you're just doing your convenience. And so it's been really, I don't want to say hard, because I'm not having it hard. All my friends are having it hard. My black friends are having it hard. My black fiance is having it hard. My black future family-in-law is having it hard. The only time I have it hard is if I get brave enough to repost a black box or to hashtag Black Lives Matter. Then I start getting targeted because I should know better or whatever. Or get sent an article from Fox News about why the numbers don't add up, and I can't believe they did that. Anyway, the thing that me and Carl talking about is just really funny to see people work towards something, to support something, like we've seen with the protests, like we're seeing with the petitions and the social media. And people are trying to be constructive at the end of the day. They're doing it for something bigger than themselves. They're not, or at least not all of them, are trying to like create a brand or make money or manipulate people. Like, they're hurting, and they are hurting together in a way to show you, hey, this is us, and you can help fix this in a way that we can't, because you're the one hurting us. And it's really funny to see people not see that as that and reject it wholeheartedly based off whatever they can nitpick out of it. Like, well, those are people destroyed that property, or that person who actually you retweeted once said a thing that wasn't good, and but they sling to the left, so they say this, or he used to be on the right, so you can't trust him now because he's going back, or whatever it is. Just, why can't we let people have their moments, you know? Like, we have to control, and not even white versus black, even though that's what we're seeing right now, is the white people trying to control the narrative, and that's just what we're seeing. I'm sorry, it's what it is. Though that's not always the case, sure. That's what we're seeing right now. That's what I'm seeing right now. My Facebook is seeing that. From people who know better, and that's what hurts me so bad. It's like, you're not a stupid person. So what are you not seeing, or what are the lies that you're believing? What am I missing that's not making me as empathetic towards you as I should be? But why, like, people are trying to control like the moments and trying to control. You know how hard it is to get up and do something, and then you've got a whole group of people who go out and protest in the pandemic because they believe in something, and you want to shut it down. Now, I understand there's fears about the virus, and that's one thing, but you're using that as your excuse to stop it. I think this is just showing us. I just am realizing that my experience going to a mixed multiracial church ever since I was in 3rd grade in Memphis, and then working in a warehouse next to black guys and white guys making the same amount of money, not enough, but making it work. Having best friends from there, having youth kids that I would drive to church from there, having kids I'd hang out from there, and still going home to the Delta on the holidays, you know, with my family, who's always been there, farmers, and not some with more money than others, but in a root of kind of the good old Southern, as far as like we work for what we have and we love each other and everybody else, and doing it for the most part, but still seeing how my experience is so unique, in that I am so uniquely and beautifully put in both worlds, for lack of a better way to say it, to where I can clearly see, no, we're people. It's like, but Tripp, I'm sorry, but white people are just different than black people. It's like, yeah, I can see that, but it's because of what specifically white people have done. They had more power and they abused it, and they took their Bibles and used it to hold and lord power over people. And they did that for hundreds of years, and we just want you to get over it. Like, I was able to take a class in college on African American studies, and it focused on like civil rights movements, and a lot of those stories I was hearing for the first time. I never knew anything about Selma. Like, I didn't hear about Selma till I was 22, 3 years old. And you know, that was, if I didn't hear about Selma, you know, all the other stuff I didn't hear about like, you know, I heard about Watts. I knew that, yeah, we gave them what they want, and then they just destroyed their cities anyway. There's no reasoning with them. But I didn't hear about all the other stuff. I didn't know who John Lewis was. And I didn't know who, like understand the other side of Malcolm X, if you know what I mean. Like, the things that he did that actually very much complemented Martin Luther King and just the community in general, that are worth copying and aspiring to. I just am well aware of my ignorance. And I've also been able to fight against it in a way not a lot of people have. And all that together makes Tripp Massey. I'm gonna try again. Okay. And my dad took all of us an hour one way every week to go to the church in Memphis ever since I was in 3rd grade. But then we ended up moving, so it wasn't that dramatic. Edit, please. No. But it's not a big deal. I need an outline. God, Lee. Let's just keep going. But yeah,